Today Minecraft is one of the biggest games in the world. But how did a blocky indie game become so popular? In this video we will go through how Markus Persson became the founder of the most sold game in history and made over $2 billion. In 2009, Markus Persson, today more known as Notch, was working as a game developer for King, the maker of Candy Crush, in Stockholm, Sweden. Markus had a big interest in programming and would spend his spare time developing his own games. King had a policy where you can make your own games, but you couldn't make a company out of it. Markus, who had started playing around with the idea of going full-time with his own games, quit his job at King and started working part-time as a web developer for Biome. Even though the new job made him a web developer and not a game developer, Markus figured out that it was better to spend a couple of hours a week not making games and having a lot more freedom to building his own games after work and on weekends. Markus also really enjoyed his new boss. Carl Manne was the CEO for Biome. Carl's enthusiasm was impressive. He was young, quick thinking, and had already, at barely 30 years old, run 3 companies. Carl was an entrepreneurial soul, with a good head for the business logic of the internet. Besides that, he understood Markus' ambition to develop games. He was even interested, asking questions about projects and offering some of his own thoughts. Carl stood for something completely different from what the old bosses at King had. He encouraged Markus and made sure that he had the time and the opportunity to balance his job with what he really wanted to do. Markus would spend most of his spare time playing around with indie games and talking to his friends at TIG Source. TIG Source was a website for indie developers where they could discuss other games and get feedback on their own. Markus really enjoyed playing Roller Coaster Tycoon, Dwarf Fortress, and Dungeon Keeper. He could spend hours planning and building roller coasters, exploring caves in Dungeon Keeper, or exploring the death and life of Dwarf Fortress. He had an idea of combining the excitement of all of the games above into a new game where you could feel like you're a part of a real world to explore, where the possibilities of what you could do was endless. At first, Markus sketched a game world that was like many other strategy games, viewed from above. In Markus' game, the building and exploring would occur in a 3-dimensional world, a good deal more inviting and easy to understand than Dwarf Fortress. But the player would still control the action, like an omnipotent god with a mouse, rather than seeing the world from the perspective of one's avatar. That changed a couple of days later. Like most evenings after work, Markus was on the computer when he stumbled upon an indie game he hadn't tried before. It was called Infiminer. Markus downloaded the game, installed it, and clicked into motion, and then almost fell off his chair. Oh my god, he thought. This is genius. Like Minecraft, Infiminer involves digging and building. The game is enacted in square, blocky worlds automatically generated before each play. Every individual block can be picked loose from the environment and assembled into something new. Certain blocks, often the ones deep in the ground, contain rare minerals. Others are just dirt and rock to be dug through in the search for a treasure. After Markus became familiar with Infiminer, he immediately sat down and began recoding his own game. He changed the third-person perspective to a first-person point of view and redid the graphics to make them even more blockish. It was a step away from the traditional strategy game he'd picked from his models and towards a more adventure-oriented setup. After a couple of days of frantic coding, Markus leaned back in his chair, satisfied as he saw the puzzle pieces begin to fall into place. Building, digging, and explorer took on a totally new dimensions when players saw the world through the eyes of their avatars. On May the 13th, Markus uploaded a YouTube clip of a very early version of Minecraft with the description, "This is a very early test of an Infiminer clone I'm working on. It will have more resource management and materials if I ever get around to finishing it." He posted his new game to his friends on TIG Source. The response was very positive, and Markus was convinced that he was onto something big. After some discussion with his friends, he decided to call the game Minecraft. The name was a combination of the words mine, for mining ore in shafts, and craft, as in building or creating something. Markus would continue releasing updates, often with new functions and bug fixes. He would update his blog and his friends at THI Source with updates about Minecraft and would encourage them and anyone who played the game to give feedback and ideas. He would discuss the game with his friend, Jacob Porser. Jacob worked with Markus at King, and their friendship had continued to grow. Jacob would help Markus with Minecraft, and the two would discuss the possibility to start charging money for Minecraft. Markus updated his blog with an explanation where he would charge $13 during the alpha phase, $20 when the game hit beta, and $26 when the game was fully done. He said, "The reason that I released the game so early was that I would never have been able to finish it otherwise. Charging money was the same thing. I knew that I would never feel that it was good enough to put a price tag on, so I charged from the start." On June 12th, Minecraft opened up for sales, and 24 hours later, the game had been sold 15 times, and Markus had $150 in his PayPal account. Initially, he thought that sales would decline after the hype of something new, but every day, the discussion threads about Minecraft would increase, and the sales would continue to grow. At first, slow, but then quicker and quicker. At home, in Sollentuna, Markus did a quick calculation. If I can sell more than 20 games a day, that's enough for something approaching a decent salary, he thought, and made up his mind. Then, I'll quit my job. Then, I'm really doing this. In May of 2010, Minecraft had enough sales that Markus called up his friend, Jacob Porser, and told him to quit his job. Let's do Minecraft full time. In June, a year after they started, they had over 20,000 sales, and they would be joined by business developer Daniel Kaplan and Markus' old boss, Carl Manne. Together they continued to develop Minecraft, and the hype of the game continued at a fast pace, and PC Gamer magazine gave Minecraft the prize of the Game of the Year. Minecraft came at a time where people started to share gameplay on YouTube. Minecraft was perfect for this. People built extraordinary things in Minecraft and wanted to show them off to the world. And all of this became free advertisement, and more people became aware of the game.
And a log, just a chop down tree bit of log. All you do is you put it in the center here like this, and then set a fire to it. Now not always, but most of
A lot of videos like this one went viral, and with this, Minecraft sales skyrocketed. At the end of 2010, Minecraft came out of alpha and entered beta. With this, as promised, Minecraft's prices was raised to $14. Markus and his team at Mojang would win Best Indie Game in December of 2010, and would continue to in May win Best Debut Game, Best Downloadable Game, and Game Innovation Spotlight at the GDC Award. The team at Mojang had increased quite a bit, and the game now had over 10 million registered accounts, but Markus was losing interest. Markus loved building games, but Minecraft had become so much more, and Markus, through his internet alias of Notch, had become the face of Mojang and Minecraft.
I don't understand what happened. I thought it was a log, or yeah, a little log in here. Oh crap.
At first, it was fun, but with the success, people also started making demands. It was at this time that Markus started to think about leaving Minecraft, and he had the perfect person to replace him. Jens Bergensten had started working at Mojang a couple of months earlier, and he kept impressing Markus with his ideas. At first, Markus was a bit afraid of letting other people make changes and come with ideas, but Jens was different. He and Markus had similar ideas on how to move the game forward, and when the day came where Markus decided to step down, Jens was the perfect fit to fill his shoes. Jens became head of development instead of Markus, who would step down from an active role at Mojang. Even though Markus wasn't working on Minecraft, he still had his office at Mojang. He said, "I wasn't exactly sure how I fit into Mojang, where people did actual work. But since people said I was important for the culture, I stayed. In the beginning of 2012, they released the Minecraft Pocket Edition for mobile and the console edition, at first exclusively for Xbox. The Xbox version was an instant hit, selling over 1 million copies after 5 days. In 2013, the exclusivity clause with Microsoft for the console edition expired, and the game was released for PS3, PS4, and PS Vita. In the meantime, Markus had continued to develop his own games, but he wasn't able to step away from Minecraft. You see, people still saw him as the figurehead of the game, and he would constantly get tweets and requests sent to him, and in 2014, it reached its peak. Hosting popular Minecraft servers had started to become a big business where a lot of people made a lot of money selling access to the servers or using in-game currencies. This wasn't allowed under the end-user's license agreement from Mojang, and when they said that they would enforce the rules and track down on the people who were doing this, it caused a lot of outrage. And Notch would get a lot of tweets and messages about this, with people saying that the studio is literally worse than EA. This outrage was enough for Markus, and on the 17th of June of 2014, he tweeted, "Anyone want to buy my share of Mojang so I can move on with my life? Getting hate for trying to do the right thing is not my jig." Carl Manne's phone immediately lit up with inquiries as to whether Persson was serious or not. Carl decided to call Markus and asked him, "Are you actually serious? Do you actually want to sell?" Markus thought for a little bit and said, Yeah, I do want to sell." Markus was tired of all of the tension and wanted to leave, so Carl got to work. Activision Blizzard and EA each expressed an interest in picking up Mojang, but the company's prior relationship with Microsoft saw a deal being made. In late 2014, the deal was done, and Notch and company would sell Minecraft to Microsoft for $2.5 billion. The completion of the deal on November 5, 2014, marked the end of the founders' involvement with the company. Persson, Persson, and Carl Manne departed Mojang. Under new leadership, but maintaining the same development team that had driven it since Notch's original sidestep in 2011, Minecraft's expansions rolled on. Today, Mojang has sold over 176 million copies of Minecraft, and the game continues to be a big draw on YouTube. We don't know how much bigger Minecraft can be. What we do know is this: there's an infinite world out there. One man's idea and another man's experiment have grown into something that has delighted an entire generation of kids and changed the way we think about games. Minecraft isn't a graphical masterpiece, and it's not, by any stretch of the imagination, a game with a AAA storyline. It's an experience that remains as relevant today as it did 9 years ago. And how many games today can actually say that? Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more of the same content, hit that subscribe button. I promise I'll have more of these videos coming out soon.